Good evening, everybody. It is Tuesday. I almost forgot what day it was. Had a little bit of wind damage out there. Had some wind damage up in Lawrenceburg, Tennessee, too, tonight. These are just your typical big thunderstorms. When they go up, they collapse eventually. They last about 30 minutes with the intensity, and then they collapse. And when they collapse, you've got a storm that's 45, 50,000 feet in the air. When that momentum of all that rain just collapsing at one time creates these isolated damaging winds. And I mean, I didn't see anything that was probably over 50 miles an hour today, but sometimes you can get these storms that are producing like 60, 80 mile an hour downbursts. Usually we have a little bit more energy in the atmosphere for that, at least this dynamics. So anyway, I got bad news for you tonight. Long range, we'll talk about that forecast next week, but it's looking like we're going to hit 100, maybe 102 a week from today, and then a week from tomorrow. It's going to be a relentless heat wave. We get a slight break this weekend, but there's a lot more heat coming, and this is going to be even more dangerous than what we have now, especially after we've already gone through this. It's not like we're acclimating. It's not like your body's adjusting. Your body's just getting tired. I know mine is. I'm going to go home and work in the garage, do some sanding while we've got some rain-cooled air out there. Anyway, let's get in with the forecast here. We've got some rain. It did make it west of I-65, but it's struggling out there. We got a couple of showers, and that is about it. And you're probably getting a decent breeze, except Florence and Russellville. It hasn't reached you yet, but that outflow boundary, it could reach you guys before the night's over. You can see where the rain-cooled air is, 77 Meridianville. Even Athens is rain-cooled at 81. Didn't get much rain there. We didn't get any rain in East Limestone and Harvest, at least my side of Harvest. Not that Harvest is all that big, but Harvest and Monrovia kind of get connected in many ways. No significant rain there. I think Monrovia and East may have got more rain, but overall, not much out there today. And I think we're going to see fewer showers and storms tomorrow. So as you go down the road, you really need to pay attention to your body. If you had some muscle cramps today, or maybe you're feeling those now, it's a sign that you're becoming dehydrated. You can't see. Oh, let me switch that over. Circle box fade. There you go. Let me go back here. Let me show you. Thanks, Jameson. I got in my own world here. I was busy talking. But there's the radar. You can see just a few showers out there, mainly east of Florence, between Russellville and Moulton, probably somewhere just to the east of Tharptown there in Franklin County. Gen X is not. You're right. Yeah, I've been listening to Ozzy. I've been listening to Ozzy Osbourne a lot, in fact, this year. And he had so many good songs. If you've ever been able to watch, there's a documentary on Ozzy, and it talks about his upbringing and, well before Black Sabbath and all that stuff. So, again, we'll miss him, but he really started to fade, but he still had it. That last concert, it was pretty wild how, I'm sure he outlived everybody's expectations. I'm sure of that, as everything he's been through. So the rain may continue to cool people off in the shoals, but here's the rain-cooled air I was mentioning that you didn't see. You were just kind of picturing it in your head. 77 Meridianville, 79 Pulaski, Lawrenceburg, you're probably at 79 too after that big thunderstorm you had. Well, Jacob, I haven't tried my mini splits yet. I don't have the power on in the garage yet. That's why I'm frying out there when I'm working. But I'm looking forward to having the power hooked up. The reason I haven't done all that is because I wanted to get the cabinets all done, because I know the cabinets are a mess, and I was right. It's overspray, and it's just dust from sanding all over the garage now. So, and I had to go through and I had to rip off the other primer. This primer I use all the time on the cabinets when it was cooler, I guess. Worked perfect, but this time, 2-3 days, it was still not dry. So I had to scrape it all off, go through and use paint thinner and rub it all down. And then I primed half of it now, and it's dried in 2 hours with the other primer I got. It's much better primer for the humidity. Here's the heat-related illness. As I was mentioning, muscle cramps. That's going to be, you may not notice, of course, you may feel faint or dizzy, but excessive sweating, yeah, I get that every day I'm working outside. In fact, I go through 3 changes of clothes from roughly 9 a.m. to 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And I don't know how, I mentioned this before, I don't know how people who work outside consistently can stay in the same set of clothes. I mean, I am soaking wet, head to toe, when I work outside in this humidity. I don't quite remember the humidity being this bad. I think what's happened is we've had so much rain, the soil moisture content's really high, so we've got a lot of water in the air. Normally, if we were in a drought, the temperatures would be around 105 right now, and the heat index would probably be around 103. So that's kind of the way it works. So I mentioned earlier today, I hope I'm actually ready for August, because August usually isn't as hot as we are right now. It's been brutal, and it's the humidity that does it. Again, excessive sweating, you're going to get that regardless. When you get that cool, pale, clammy skin, or you get muscle cramps, those are the biggest indicators. When you get the muscle cramps, that's your body telling you you're becoming dehydrated. And if you go farther into that, you stop sweating. When you stop sweating, you should be alarmed. You should be stopping everything you're doing. But at that point, sometimes you don't notice what's going on, and you kind of battle through the heat cramps. But the moment I start getting a heat cramp, I go inside, and I drink lots of water. I drink some pickle juice. I do whatever it takes, because, man, I was in the Army, and we'd go through these heat phases. You'd be out in your mop 4 is what we called it. There's all these, when you wear your chemical suit, you got your chemical boots, your charcoal suit, your mask. I think that mask is mop level 4, but we'd be out training in New Jersey in the heat. But once you got to a certain wet bulb phase, training was over. You couldn't go into the full mop gear. But can you imagine firefighters? They don't have that option. It's just hot. So again, take care of yourself. If you start to lose consciousness and you're not sweating, that means you're having a heat stroke. You need to get out. And talked to HIMSI today, Don Webster with HIMSI, and I think they had about 6 calls yesterday and 4 calls today for ambulance service for possible heat casualties. I'll just put it that way, either heat stroke or heat exhaustion. So tomorrow morning we begin the same way. The models are trying to throw some showers. I just don't see that happening. It hasn't happened all week. I don't see any reason it's going to happen early. And the models have been trying to push this farther west. So again, it's got it more along the line of Mississippi. I just don't see that happening. Oh yeah, Adam likes pickle juice. Some people have pickle juice and mustard as well. So tomorrow, I don't see a lot of rain. That's why we dropped the chance to 20%. So it's not a big chance. 3-day forecast. I don't know why I've got 93 there. I think it's just going to cool down a little bit day by day. But I guess we can look forward to 93 instead of 90. It hit 98 today in the Shoals. I haven't checked the official to see what the official high was, but I did notice 98. Heat index was 108.5, and the record high over there is 103. Usually you only reach the record highs when it's drier and the temperature warms up. So what happens is the temperatures are warming up, but the atmosphere is spending more time evaporating the moisture out of the air. Therefore, it keeps that constant temperature of the 90s. However, the heat index is what it really feels like out there. So you'll find some of our record highs are probably in drought years, especially as we look late July into August. Some of the hottest weather is with a drought because there's no moisture. So the atmosphere doesn't spend any time evaporating the moisture. It just heats up the ground, and the ground's drier, and it heats up the earth, so the atmosphere. So there's your forecast for the next 3 days. If you stick around, I'm going to tell you how hot it's going to get next week. And we are forecasting at least 100 degrees 2 of those days, and the heat index may get to 110. We'll talk about that right after the break. Yeah, Carlos saying if he cuts hay, it'll rain. That's that's probably one sure way. I don't think washing the car for the weather man is going to be enough for it. I'm going to got my red Solo cup here. Just water. We had a station party and I just kept that cup because it's hard to find a cup around here. We got ice. Bring on the ice. Yeah. So, yeah, one thing, working out in the garage in this heat, at least it's spray foam, so it actually doesn't feel terrible inside like it normally would. It really cuts down the heat. I can't wait to get those air conditioning units, those mini splits going and really test it out. So here's that 10-day forecast. It's going to get really hot next week. So 97 Monday, I'd say heat index around 105. 99 Tuesday, heat index probably 108. Wednesday and Thursday, the model guidance actually has it 102 Wednesday, the European model. So we're going to go about 110 on the heat index. So we're kind of saving the next first alert weather day for something that's really, really more significant, because the weather we're having the last few days is pretty much the same we did the first alert weather day for last week, and we really don't just want to abuse the first alert weather day. We could have one probably every day this week. But the point of the first alert weather day is to alert you when a more significant change is coming, and I think a significant change would be going with a high of 99 and a heat index of 110 on a consistent basis next week. Now, I didn't know if you drank beer on a hot day you sweat more. I'll have to test that one out, Adam. I'll have to check back with you on that. I do know when you drink like grape juice and those juices, there's so much sugar in them. You think you're being healthy, but that sugar is just it's not good for you on hot days either. But yeah, my wife does these liquid IVs, and I guess that's the next craze, that Celsius, but I mean it tastes okay. I haven't really noticed any improvement over as far as I'm like, I don't wake up and go like, oh, I feel extra hydrated today because I had this liquid IV. It's not like having a real IV, I guess. But anyway, I appreciate you guys tuning in. Again, we're all going to fry next week. Hope you're still around by then to enjoy it. I would really prefer to be going down to the beach, but I actually have Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday off, and I hope to get a lot accomplished in the garage because I've got vacation after that. So again, I'm not liking those numbers at all. Kind of like when you're at the blackjack table and you get a 10 and a 6. That's how I feel about that 10-day forecast. You guys have a good one. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you tomorrow night at 9:30.